Imagine that you get stuck in such a place in a plane crash for 72 days where there is only snow all around. No one, no help, and no food to eat. You just see the shadow of your death all around. But then something happens to you that you did not expect at all. The story begins on October 13th, 1972, when a rugby team was going to Chile from America to play their final match. It was a normal flight, and all the players on board were very happy, because many of them were traveling on the plane for the first time, and all of them were going to another country outside their country for the first time. Some of the players also had their family members who were going with them to support their children in the game. After the takeoff of the plane, when it started moving towards Chile from Andes Mountain, everything was going normal until then. All the players sitting inside were very happy and were looking at the view of snowy mountains from the window seat. But they did not know that something like this was going to happen to them after a few minutes, which is also scary to think about. After a while, the weather suddenly gets bad. A very fast snowstorm comes, causing the plane to take a sharp shock. All the passengers get scared because of the shock, but a passenger sitting inside tells that when a plane passes over the mountains, there is turbulence in the plane. This is not a matter of danger. Everything will be normal soon. But as this plane was moving forward, its turbulence was also increasing. The plane started shaking faster. All the stuff inside the plane started falling here and there. Seeing this, there was a commotion among the people. The pilots were trying to handle the plane, but now the plane was out of control. Before the pilots could do anything, a mountain comes in front of them, and this plane collides with the mountain in front and separates into two parts. One player flies with the last part of the plane as soon as the plane collides and disappears in the air, while the front part of the plane collides with a large rock of snow. This collision was so fast that all the seats of the plane stick together, in which many people were crushed and killed. Now, those who had survived this accident, they took care of themselves and started helping the other people in the cabin. Some players quickly reached the pilots and tried to get them out. But during this time, these two pilots were also killed. It was a very painful atmosphere. Blood was spreading everywhere. Corpses were scattered all over. A total of 45 people were traveling in this plane, but after this crash, 18 people lost their lives, and only 27 people survived. Now, since this plane took off in the evening, it was night in a little while. The outside temperature began to fall rapidly. It was so cold that those people could not bear it. Now, to save themselves from the cold, they used the dead bodies there and closed all the holes in the plane so that the cold air outside could not come inside. And all these people stuck together to save themselves from the cold. All of them were in very bad condition. They were still in deep shock because they had understood that they would not be able to survive now. Anyway, they spent the night somehow. When the sun rose in the morning, they saw that 4 to 5 more people died because of the cold. But the good thing was that the storm had stopped now. The weather outside had become normal. When these people came out of the plane, they saw nothing but white snow all around them. Now these people will have to leave this place as soon as possible because these people will not be able to live here for many days. There was no house around them, no animal, and no tree or plant with which these people can survive. Now, first of all, these people took out the seats of the plane so that there could be a place for everyone to sleep inside the plane. After that, they laid the injured people in the sun so that their bodies could get warm, and these people melted the snow to drink water and started collecting water by making drops, one by one. After that, they collected all people's belongings. When they found something useful, they kept it in a separate suitcase. Now, some people take their bodies away from the plane and cover them with snow so that they can be saved from rotting. And when help arrived here, these people could take those dead bodies with them. When things got a little better, these people breathed a sigh of relief. All of them were very hungry. Now, one piece of the remaining food was distributed to everyone. By the way, this one piece of food was very little, but it was enough to stay alive. However, everyone knew that they would have to run this food until no help reached them. Everyone thought that by now the government would have known that their plane has crashed, and soon these people would be rescued. That's why they all started sitting together and waiting for help. Actually, the place where their plane crashed was actually a valley with high mountains all around. That's why it wasn't so easy to get out of here. These things are still going on. That's when the plane passes from above. Seeing the plane, they all scream loudly and express their presence. But it doesn't help because that plane was at a very high altitude that it couldn't see the trapped people below, and the plane disappears in front of their eyes. It was night. After a few hours, they all wore extra clothes and hid inside the plane and used the luggage inside to close all the holes in the plane. This is how the night passed. And the next morning, a man named Nando came to his senses, who was unconscious after the plane crashed. Nando's condition was so bad that he could not stand on his feet. But despite this, he went to his sister and hugged her. When Nando asked about his parents, he was told that his parents had died. He was very sad to hear this. The rest of the people melted the snow again and collected some water and started drinking it and surviving. They also made an X sign on the ground so that the plane passing from above could be seen. After a while, another plane passed over them, which made these people very happy. And these people tried to attract his attention by shining mirrors. But this plane also ignored them and left. These people were happy because they thought that maybe that plane has seen us, and now very soon help will reach them. But like this, one more night passed, but no one came to save them. Now they understand that no one will come to save us here. That's why these people think that how can we all save our lives in this closed area? That's when they thought that there were some batteries in the back of the plane. And if we bring these batteries here, then with the help of the battery, we can run the radio of the plane and we'll be able to contact the outside world. Now everyone liked this idea, but it was not so easy to do this as they were thinking, because the last part of the plane, which was broken during the crash, I don't know where that part will be now. Anyway, they decided to find the last part of the plane. After that, they made some goggles using leather and glass so that these goggles could protect their eyes in the fast snowstorm, and the 4 people of the group went to bring those batteries. But after going a little far, when they looked back, they could not see their plane anywhere. And now they realize that no one will see their plane in the middle of so much snow, and maybe that's why no one has come to save them yet. Now they try to move forward. That's when the snow there started to crack. Seeing this, they get scared and come back to their plane. In this way, they spend 6 days stuck here, and after a week, all the food in the plane was over. Now, this area was covered with snow, and there were no animals, and no trees or plants nearby. So now, they have to do something to fill their stomachs. When they did not get anything to eat, they started eating the moss, which tasted very bad, but they had to eat it out of helplessness. Here Nando said that if he had to eat the bodies of dead people, he would do this to keep himself alive. Hearing this, all the people started thinking. Soon there was a debate between all of them that they should eat the dead people or die of hunger. Some people said that doing this is not right. God will not forgive us. After that, they put a stone on their stomach and spent time like this. And with time, their hunger also increased. The situation was that all of them were forced to eat the lace and cigarettes of their shoes. But after being hungry for many days, their hunger was not going to end. A few more days passed, and Nando's sick sister died of hunger. Nando lost his mother and father, as well as his sister. Time passed like this, and these people kept themselves alive for 9 days. But by now, their hunger had increased so much that their brains had also stopped working, and now their death was only 1 step away from them. Now, they had no other choice. That's why they decided to eat those dead bodies. First, 4 people went out of the plane and started eating the corpses. Seeing them eat, some other people also changed their minds, and they also went to them to fill their stomachs. But there were 5 people who were willing to die, but they did not think it was right to eat another person. From the next day, they started cutting the corpses away, so that these 5 people would not have any trouble. Here, a boy named Numa found a suitcase. When he opened the suitcase, he found a radio inside. After turning on the radio, he found that there was no signal in it. For this, they connected things and made an antenna. On this radio, they heard a news in which it was being told that the government had conducted many rescue operations in their search and had sent about 66 aircraft in search of them. But despite so many attempts, when no trace of these people could be found, the government declared them dead. That's why the government has now stopped looking for these people. Hearing this news, all the people of the group lost their courage, and all their hopes of surviving were ruined. Now, out of the remaining 5 people who had refused to eat the dead bodies, 4 of them also ate the flesh, because they knew that no one would come to help them, and now they would have to do something themselves to get out of here. Here, the three people of the group decided to find the back part of the ship again and bring the batteries in it, so that they could use it to make contact with the outside world and tell them that we are still alive. After this, the three people set out to find the back part of the plane, and after walking for several hours, they found some pieces of the plane that these people pick up, and also found the dead body of the player who had left them at the time of the crash. They buried his body and continued their journey because now they also realized that the back part of the plane would be around here. After climbing for hours, they were all very tired, and because of these snowy winds, it was difficult for them to breathe. Soon, it was night, and these people decided to spend the night hiding. The next morning, when they woke up, they were all covered with snow, and their condition was very bad. The cold was so bad that one of them was frozen to the eyes, and the other two were not even able to stand on their feet. Now, they did not have the strength to move forward at all, so they all sat on the iron shield outside the plane and came down from the mountain. Seeing these people empty-handed, sadness spread throughout the group, and that last remaining man also ate human flesh and slept, cursing his fate. Days passed by, and these people somehow kept themselves alive for 17 days. But the bad thing here was that the weather outside for the last 5 days was very bad. To escape the storm, everyone is sitting inside the plane when a big storm comes and fills the plane with snow. Many people inside are buried under the snow. Now, the people who were left outside were very scared of this incident, but then they showed courage and dug up the snow and took out the people buried inside. Now, all the people came out of time, but a girl was buried very low in the snow who died of suffocation in the snow. These people were very scared, and these people were not able to handle this incident properly. That's when they started hearing strange voices from outside. When these people look outside, they find out that another storm is coming towards them, which is faster than before. Another storm comes, and they are all buried in the snow again. This storm was so fast that the whole ship was filled with snow. Some people died on the spot. There was no way out for the people. One of them quickly made a hole in the roof of the ship so that they could get oxygen and avoid suffocation. These people were only wishing that no more snow should fall on them, or they will be buried here forever. A few hours later, they took care of themselves and gathered a total of 8 dead bodies and placed them in a corner. Now, they had been stuck here for 18 days and they were starving. Now, there was only one way to stay alive, that they eat the flesh of the dead bodies present inside. But it was very difficult for all of them, because all these dead bodies belonged to their own people. Now, seeing all this, that boy named Numa lost control of himself. He got angry and started breaking the window of the plane. Meanwhile, a piece of glass entered his feet, but he did not stop and continued to make holes in the snow. After 2 days of hard work, they managed to make a hole in the top, after which they all came out. Coming out, they were all so happy that they were all freed from the prison of death. They celebrated the joy of being freed from the prison of death. They celebrated the joy of being and informed the outside world. Otherwise, we will all die one by one. After that, the 4 people in the group decided to climb up, and the names of those 4 people were Roberto, Tintin, Numa, and Nando. These people wore a lot of clothes to avoid the cold and set out in search of the plane, but after walking for many hours, they did not see their plane anywhere. Then Numa's health began to deteriorate, and he fell down. Here the rest of the people saw that the infection had spread, so they all decided to take Numa back down. But Numa refused to do this. He decided to go down alone and told the rest of the people to go ahead. Now Numa came back to the plane, but his condition was so bad that he fainted as soon as he reached there. After a while, when he came to his senses, he saw that his companions were trying to remove the snow from the plane. He also wanted to help them, but due to weakness, he could not even move. On the other hand, after traveling for many hours, they reached the place where the last part of the plane was, which was broken after colliding with the rock. Seeing this, the 3 of them are very happy and go to the last part of the plane. When they started checking the 3 ships, they got a lot of things other than batteries, such as a lot of clothes, rum bottles, and a lot of cigarette packets. They come back to their plane with their luggage, where they put the battery in the plane's radio and tried to make contact with the outside world, but unfortunately, the radio was broken. And in this way, their last hope is also found in the soil. On the other hand, Numa's condition was also deteriorating, and now his infection had spread throughout the body. The food they got from the plane was also over now, so they all started eating human meat again. Numa stopped eating so that more food was left for the rest of the people, because he knew that his life would not be saved now. Now, some people in the group went to the last part of the plane again, in the hope that they could get some work. This time their fate supported them, and they got a waterproof cloth with which they made a sleeping bag. After this, they heard on the radio that after 58 days of plane crash, now the government will run a last mission to find them. After hearing this news, everyone got back to life and got a little hope to stay alive. Here some people said that we should stop here and wait for them, while the rest of the people said that if we stay here, then no one will be able to see us, so some of us should walk and call for help. At night, Numa's condition began to deteriorate a lot. He was taking the last breaths of his life. Before dying, he told everyone that when I die, you all make me your food. After saying this word, Numa died. Everyone gets courage from these last words of Numa, and they got a letter from Numa. In that letter, Numa wrote that he is very happy that he died among his friends because he can't get a better death than this. Now, after reading Numa's letter, everyone got a different enthusiasm, and the three people of the group started looking for help again. These three started their journey with a sleeping bag and a lot of food. This time, these three had decided that they would cross these mountains at any cost and reach Chile and call for help for everyone. These three kept climbing without stopping, and when night fell, they slept in that sleeping bag. The next morning, they started climbing again and reached the top of the mountain. But looking at the view above, it seemed like their courage was broken. There were mountains in front of them, and it meant that they still had a long way to go. They thought that they should all go back because to complete this journey, they did not have food for 3 people. Here, Tintin gave his food to both of them and returned himself so that they can complete this journey easily. Although this journey was quite long and full of challenges, but still they did not give up and kept moving forward. And finally, after walking for 10 days in a row, their hard work paid off. They reached an area where there was very little snow compared to the top. They also found a clear river where they stopped and drank a lot of water. Then something happened that no one had expected. They saw a man riding a horse who was standing across the river. At first, they did not believe their eyes when they saw the man. They thought they were dreaming, but soon they realized that it was not an illusion, but a real person. Seeing that man, their happiness was not satisfied. They shouted loudly and asked for help from that man, but that man could not understand them because he was very far from them and could not hear anything in the flowing water. So he threw a paper and a pencil across the river so that they could write and tell something, and they wrote all their stories on that paper.
After reading all the stories written on the paper, this man took that paper to the government officer, where the officer also found out that 2 months ago, some of the people who we thought were dead in the plane crash are still alive. And as soon as the news was received, the government started a mission to save all these people. This man brought Roberto and Nando to his house where they ate to their heart's content. Now this news spread like fire throughout the city. And very soon there was a fair of reporters and people stuck in the snowy mountains also heard this news on the radio, from which everyone started jumping for joy. After this, they washed their hands and packed their belongings. Soon the rescue team reached the location with Roberto and Nando, and after 72 days of plane crash, they were finally saved. After this, all these people were brought to the city where they met their family, and all the people of the city welcomed them like heroes. Now all these people were admitted to the hospital. Here they all helped each other to bathe, and then these people were given separate beds. But that night they all slept with each other because after this incident they were all in deep shock. At the end of the story, we learned that a total of 45 people were traveling in this plane, out of which only 16 people were saved. With this, the film made on the true story ends. If you like the story, then subscribe to our channel and like the video.